Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Beeves Bandwagon. As you all know, I am Beeve, and we're going to talk about some sports. And this is the week ending in October 24th. That would be today. So, well, first thing on my mind I want to talk about is really about the stuff that's been going on. First of all, in Ottawa, with what happened to that guard, it's a real tragedy, and we hope that here in Canada that sports can help heal as it did in Boston. I really, my heart goes out to everybody out there in Ottawa, and I gotta say the Penguins were real classy playing the national anthem between their game between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. So that is my start to this show today. Well, I'm gonna get into quickly here to the World Series. Well, when everybody thought that KC, the Kansas City Royals, were kind of an old school team and really couldn't get the job done, and they were kind of messed up a bit in the first game. Now, I think a lot of that was Madison Baumgartner, who is a very, very good pitcher, and, well, he kind of shut them down a little bit. But then when a different pitcher was up there, it seems like KC kind of adapted and used their strategy as well as a little bit of new strategy to adapt and win the game. I still think that they're going to win. KC's going to win it all, but don't look for it to be a blowout series. It's going to be a very tight series. I think, it'll be a very tight series. San Francisco is going to win at least 2 games, maybe 3. It might go to Game 7. I don't know, but my money's on KC. Now I'm going to go over, because we have the season is going to be starting very shortly, the NBA. And some sad news for Canadians all around, as well as the Lakers fans, that Steve Nash is going to miss the whole season due to nerve damage. Nobody really likes that, but it is what it is. Hopefully the guy can get healthy and have maybe another season or 2. I don't know if he should just retire and call her quits or what, but he's one of my favorite players of all time, to be honest with you. I don't see the Lakers. That being said, I don't see the Lakers doing very well. I mean, they're on a downward spiral. Kobe's getting old, and he's more of a ball hog than ever. And I mean, anybody can see that. It was evident when he did get his, was it 88 points or whatever against Toronto a few years back. He never passed the ball in the second half of the game. Kind of ridiculous. Of course, the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to do well because, well, they've got a lot of talent on their team out of nowhere because of the trades and the signing of course, LeBron James back. And with that, LeBron James bringing in Kevin Love because he wanted to play with a big guy like that, and Kyrie Irving and Tristan Thompson. I think it's going to be a decent team. I don't think they're going to have success right off the bat like the Miami Heat did when they had their big 3, but nonetheless, I think they're still going to do very well. I still think the Heat are going to be decent as well. They only really did lose LeBron. I mean, yes, LeBron is the best player in the world, but you know, there are ways of getting over that and getting young players to come up and play well too. I think that Andrew Wiggins over in Minnesota is going to do very well. I don't think he would have done well if they would have kept him in Cleveland. Simply because I believe that he wouldn't get the starting time that a LeBron would in that situation, and he wouldn't be able to flourish. Where in Minnesota, where he's probably the best player they have, he can flourish very well there. I think you're going to see him become a star in the league. But when it comes down to it all, Toronto Raptors, I think, are on the rise. They made the playoffs last year. Got put out in the first round, but that's all right. But these boys can can bounce back and hopefully have a good season. Now my team is the Knicks, and I don't really expect them to do very well. The Knicks. I mean, they had a bad year last year, and Carmelo's a little bit not too happy with the team, so hopefully things can turn around for them. I don't see them making the playoffs, but I see them making a run for the playoffs. In other news, the Bulls, I think that as long as Derrick Rose stays healthy, I believe that team can make the playoffs and do very good things. I don't think they can win it all, but I think they can do very well. Now, I also think that when it really boils down, OKC, if they can get Durant back healthy, are pretty much a lock to go far. And the biggest thing is going to be the Spurs. I think the Spurs are going to go back and repeat this year. They just don't age. It seems like Timmy Duncan seems like he's never going to leave, and he's always playing at a big fundamental level. No pun intended there. And you got the Clippers. I think the Clippers are a damn good team, but I don't know about the chemistry to get them in the playoffs and keep them going strong. And I believe their season starts on the 29th, so I think it's going to be a decent NBA season. And I think that you're going to see a repeat of last year by chance of who wins. I think you're going to see different teams in the playoffs this year, and you're going to see different teams winning more games and different teams winning less games. It's going to be a throw around year, except for the Spurs. Spurs are going to go all the way again. That's my early preseason pick. Alright, so let's go over to some football. We had some we had some big games this past week, where you had Dallas coming off of a big win with against the Seahawks. People were wondering, as was I, how they would perform in the next game, and they did very well. And a big thing to them is DeMarco Murray. DeMarco Murray is ripping it up, and Tony Romo is just a happy guy to have Des Bryant and him, for the most part, taking the load. And of course, this past Thursday, Peyton Manning continued his record-breaking touchdowns, career touchdowns. He beat it on Sunday. He was up to 510 on Sunday, I believe. And last night, Thursday night, he got 3 more, so that takes him to 513. I don't know. You don't really know what to say about the guy, but by the time his career is over, he's gonna have 600 or more. The guy is just phenomenal. Seems like he gets better with age, and there's not many players you can say that about. A lot of players, and as you know, as they get older, they get a little, well, they start like dying, so to speak. Not dying literally, but they don't perform as well. Let's see, Arizona still is 6-1. They've been really stepping their game up. Surprised about them. A few years back when they did make the Super Bowl, it was a surprise, and maybe this year they'll do something big. Once again, Oakland. Oakland. What more can I say about them? They're just dead. There's nothing more they can really do. They gotta tank the rest of the season. Maybe get a good pick next year in the draft and see what comes again. I mean, it's just a shame that they can't get that franchise going. Seahawks. Oh, what did I say last week? Seahawks. You lost again, boys, to a team as lowly as the St. Louis Rams. What more can I say? I just think that they're not a decent team anymore. Their defense is being found out real quick, And I think that, like I said about Russell Wilson, everybody knows what I said. We see the New England Patriots, they're still sticking to their game and they're winning games. Like I said last week, that I think that their fire underneath them is a little bit big after they lost that big game. And they'll make the playoffs. And they're always a contender because any given Sunday, any team can beat any other team. It's ridiculous. Like I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are pretty much done for. They're not as good as people think they are, by any means of the word. It is ridiculous what I think there. Let's see, what other teams can I go to and see? Not many other teams I can really talk about. Most of them are just steadying the course. Good on Cleveland to beat the Steelers the past week. I mean, that was a big game for them. They went to overtime with them in the first one, but big on them, big ups. The big thing I hear this week is that there's a chance that they're gonna reinstate Ray Rice after all that happened. Well, why? What the hell are they thinking? Like, I just they're gonna set a precedent that things like that can happen, and I mean, like, oh, let's go out and let's beat the hell out of our family, and yeah, you get a little bit of a reprieve, and then we'll bring you back. Like that's just ridiculous. And you have on the other end, the other scale of things, Michael Sam, who now he's got released by Dallas. Like, I mean, the guy is a freaking good player. Why not use him? Why not one of these teams that can't stop a freaking beach ball from being thrown? Like, why don't somebody grab him and use him on their defensive end? Like, it's just crazy. Like, I think that the priorities in the NFL are way off, way off. These boys need to know, like, that, like, a player is a player. Like, for like, it doesn't matter his sexual orientation, but you go on the other side with Ray Rice, and you can't forgive stuff like that. I mean, people seem to have forgotten about the whole Michael Vick dog fighting incidents, but I haven't. And I mean, it's ridiculous how people forget about those things so quickly and don't worry about, oh, we just want Ray Rice back because he's very good for our team. The hell with that. I don't want him back at all. I would like to see him never play again in the NFL. And as far as Adrian Peterson goes, for beating your kid with a twitch, yeah, years ago that may have been something they could do, maybe 40 years ago. In today's world, you can't do that. You can't do that, and as good as a running back as he was, or is, I should say, I don't care to see him back either, to be honest with you, like, he just doesn't. It doesn't interest me to see people like that back. People who have abused people. Now, I mean, you got the Josh Gordon who smoked weed and stuff. That's a different thing. I mean, that's something that you can get your penalty and then come back in the future. I don't mind that. That's not abuse. You're not beating your family. You're not hurting somebody. It's the priorities are crazy in the NFL. That's my NFL spiel for the day, for the week, I should say. Alright, so let's hop over to some NHL. We had a crazy week in the NHL. Too much surprise to people, Edmonton actually got a couple wins. Clap, 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 clap. So that's not going to happen very often, people, so take notice of that. We had some players step up their games, too, like Some people in Calgary last night did some really big things. They won 5-0, and I'm just very surprised at how good Jonas Hiller has been. He's been the saving grace for most of that team. Against Chicago a while back, I couldn't believe how good he was. We played Winnipeg. They kept us in the game there. Like it's just it's refreshing to see after the year that they had last year. You got Rick Nash, 8 goals in the season. The guy struggled for the last few years to do anything, and well, he's finally hitting his stride this year, which for most people is not a it's not a foregone conclusion that he's going to keep this up. And it's not a foregone conclusion for anybody to keep anything up. I mean, like I said last week, Sidney Crosby is not going to keep that pace. Sidney Crosby, I don't think he's got a point in his last game or two. Last night they blew it. The 2.5 minutes left or so, or close to that, they were up 3-2 on Detroit. They let Zetterberg walk in and score, and then they scored again with less than a minute left, and then went to overtime. And with less than a minute left, some miscue by the Penguins, and bam, in the net. Like it just seems like in this day and age, for sure, you can't give up even that late into a game. And as a Penguins fan too, I do like the Penguins because I'm a Sidney Crosby fan. I just think they gave up and said, "We got this game. We're up by 2. We got this game." Because they couldn't even get a goal on the empty net when they were right in front of it, which could have really sealed that game for them. They were trying to pass it around too much. Like I just think that the team is just they were too complacent. And with a goalie who's not your number one goalie in the net, you gotta make sure that you don't screw up stuff like that. And Detroit is not gonna give up. The second game in the home and home against the Leafs, Detroit and Leafs, like that was an incredible game. By any standards, those goalies were on their games like crazy. 0-0 going to overtime, and like was 9.9 seconds left in overtime. Detroit scores. When it comes to overtime, sometimes a team can just be lackadaisical and not do anything, like Pittsburgh did last night. But then there are teams like Toronto who played very strong in that overtime and still ended up losing because of just one flick of the wrist. But it's a sad thing to say, but happens more often than not. These late goals these days. I mean, look at the Briere goal a couple weeks, or about a week or two back there. Crazy, like 0.1 seconds left on the clock. Like you just can't give up the game anymore. You can always score at any moment. It can happen. As for the Avalanche, they're on quite of a skid there. McKinnon hasn't been scoring, and I guess they got to get used to not having the Paul Stastny and P.A. Parento on the team, which were two guys that I really enjoyed on that team. P.A. Parento, having gone to Montreal, is looking pretty well over there, and Montreal is looking strong. They're starting to spread the action around, which is good. Move of the week is definitely last week's Saturday night's PK Subban goal out of the penalty box. And coming around the net, and Tyson Barrie falls, and he dekes the goalie out. That was a phenomenal move by anybody, let alone a defenseman. So I give PK Subban credit for that. As I know, a lot of people may not like Subban, but you can't deny his talent and his ability to shoot that puck like a rocket. And to have the soft hands is quite a big thing to have when you're a defenseman, and you're not known for that. To show that last season in the playoffs when he came out of the penalty box, and this year, he's showing a whole new dynamic to his game, which for Habs fans is great, and for every other fan in the league, it's scary when you're going to play against him. It's going to get scary. I can tell you that much right now. And I said last week about Anaheim's goaltending not being good, but as you can see, their goaltending has been pretty good this season already. That's people can say what they want, say that he's not that smart about sport and b. But these guys are doing well right now. But when pressure time comes, I don't see them doing well at all. John Gibson last year in the playoffs didn't perform when it was on him, and I think that's something that's going to happen again. I think they'll make the playoffs. Corey Perry with another hat trick last night, just eight goals in the season for him too. So 2 hat tricks on the season this already. That's pretty impressive. But he needs to kind of start doing stuff every game rather than every like 3 or 4 games getting a couple goals. It just seems like they need him to do more on a regular basis. So the trade for Pittsburgh and Nashville is paying dividends to Nashville right now because James Neal, who was traded from Pittsburgh to Nashville for Nick Spaulding and Patrick Hornqvist. While Hornqvist has 4 goals and Spaulding has a few, it's starting to pay dividends for Nashville, where Neal has 4 goals in this, or 5 goals in the season. Sorry, and with those 5 goals, he's helping them go to a. They have not lost in regulation yet this year, which I mean, it is only 7-8 games in for some teams, but the second week of this season, when people start to settle in, you can expect a lot of these teams to steady the course they're on. I think Carolina, being the only team winless this season, are almost in a Edmonton category where they need to blow the team straight to hell. I know they already want to trade Eric Stahl away, which, well, I don't think that's a bright move in this point. You could still use him for a few more years and then trade him and get something for him. But if you're looking to trade and start all over again, he's your guy to get rid of, and any team is going to be lucky to have him on their side. I just don't know who's going to be willing to give up what they're going to be looking for to get. Because it happens every year. This trade deadline is going to be all about him, I think, this year. And what I think is going to happen is that he's not going to end up going anywheres because of the asking price is going to be too high. The only reason Jerome McGinley went to Pittsburgh when he went is because the asking price was not high at all, which I don't understand for a caliber of a player like him. The asking price was so low when they traded him and Bouwmeester away and Tanguay away, all basically at once. The asking price was low for current players. They wanted draft picks and stuff, and well, it's starting to pay a little dividends for Calgary now. But losing Iginla was quite a hard time for all of Calgary's fans. Seeing him go to Pittsburgh, for me, I wasn't too bad because I like to see him get some success. And then to see him go to Boston last year kind of disgusted me. I'm not a Boston fan by any means. I respect their players. I respect Patrice Bergeron. I don't like Brad Marchand. He's from my area, our area here. I just don't like him. I think he's a cocky little bitch, to be honest with you. Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon, and him were all at a pickup game or something like that. And Sidney Crosby and McKinnon stopped and signed autographs for fans. And what did that little rat punk do? Marchand? He just took off in his car. He's the kind of guy you just want to grab and smack in the face and say, You have to respect your fans. You played in Halifax for at least. You played in Halifax for a little bit at least. Like, respect your fans. Don't be a little bitch. I love Sidney Crosby because he's a humble guy. Like, and same as McKinnon. The guys came from Cole Harbour, and it seems like those guys like to give back to the fans as much as they can. I also want to say that Slava Voinov, I don't want you back in the league either. I talked about this earlier about the football aspect of people getting beaten their family, and Slava Voinov has been suspended indefinitely by the league for what he did. Apparently, he domestic abuse, and I, for one, cannot stand for that stuff. So, once again, like I said about the rest of them in the NFL, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to bring him back very shortly. But in my opinion, I think the guy has got to stay away, and they have to get rid of him and set a precedent so that this will never happen again in the NHL. Because if they don't, it's going to happen again and again and again. That's the thing that these teams and these officials have to set in place. Because, well, it is an entertainment league, but it's also there are also kids who look up to these players. And for anybody who looked up to Slava Voinov is now sees what he has done. And they're not happy, and these kids are crushed. I think that just don't suspend him. Just release him from his pay him out, because he's got a legal contract with the company or with the team and everything. Just pay him out and let him go. Because I don't agree with anything about him coming back. And that's just me, old boys. So I'm gonna finish this show off by once again thanking everybody for hopping on the Beeves bandwagon this week. I always have a great time doing this show, whether I'm laughing or I'm being serious. It's always a fun time. Because I love giving other people my knowledge and my opinions. Whether you like the opinions or not, I still like giving them out. And whether I'm wrong or right, I still love it because I love hearing back, and I love being able to speak my mind whenever I feel like it. I also want to thank Justin Thornton, my producer. Once again, he's the reason why this is working and why we're getting this up every week. I want to thank all the fans. I believe I had 30, almost 40 viewers last week, which for a starter show is not bad, but let's get more. Come on, tell your friends. If you like it, tell your friends, like I said. And if you don't like it, just keep it to yourself. I love it because I love all you fans. I love sports. Next week, I think I'm going to give a show on some MMA and professional wrestling. Now, I have a lot to say about those two aspects. So if you're interested, stay tuned because it's going to be a great episode. So everybody, stay classy, everybody.